Hey folks, I have been heads down the last couple weeks building content for an upcoming massive Heroes module in the Optimizer website. So if you're watching this in the near future, I'll link it in the description below. But while building out this repository of analysis on hero skills, tier lists, and more, there are some heroes who have skills that work very differently than their in-game description. And I think you should know about them. And special thanks to Frack of the Frackinator website for doing a crazy amount of unit tests on individual hero skills to help validate these claims. So first, let's start with Petra, because there have been a number of you pinging me over the last few days about rumors of her joiner ability stacking in rallies. To be clear up front, these rumors are false, but there is a different hidden mechanic to her ability that actually makes this first skill one of the best in the game. So let me explain, but to set the stage, we first need to look at her actual ability description. It says that it grants all squads, S', attack a 50% chance of cursing the target, increasing enemy squads, S', damage taken by 50%. The reason I focus on the apostrophe and the difference between singular and plural possessive is because this subtle difference tells you that each attack of your squads has a chance of causing the debuff to the target. That means it has 3 chances to work in a single turn of combat, assuming you have all 3 troop types present to attack. And the check for whether or not the skill is active on the enemy occurs before any attack damage is calculated. So if even one of the 3 attacks is successful at activating the debuff ability, then all 3 troop types will benefit from the skill in its entirety, if they are attacking the same target that round of combat. So in reality, that 50% chance of occurrence stated in the ability description becomes an aggregated 87.5% chance. I want to pause here for a second because this is huge. Normally, in all of my hero review videos, I try to benchmark skills against an effective value of a 25% stat increase. And in this case, 87.5% chance of improving damage by 50% yields a 43.75% expected value of damage increase. So this is way ahead of that 25% benchmark and far exceeds every other hero skill in the game. I would therefore argue that this is the most powerful single expedition ability we have in all 7 current hero generations. Now back to those rumors of this ability stacking. Kingshot's official position, going as far back as last August, is that percent chance based abilities do not stack. So it would be a big change to combat meta if this skill was stacking, especially given that 87.5% chance of occurrence of this particular ability. And in fairness, if you've seen some of my other videos, Kingshot support has been wrong about their own game before. To understand this issue, we need to talk about skill counts as shown in battle reports. Despite 3 chances of placing the debuff on an enemy in a given turn, in a solo march battle report, you will only see at most 1 application per turn of battle. This is because the game counts it only once even if it was applied 3 times in that round. However, when multiple people send Petra as joiners, the battle report shows a skill count each time one of the joiner heroes successfully applies the debuff. And with an 87.5% chance for each joiner Petra, this skill count is going to go up significantly. But importantly, this does not mean that the actual effect of that debuff has stacked, and I can prove that it doesn't. I've talked about this in the Bear Hunt math theory crafting video linked below in the description, but if you use the real troop stats under the hood and remove sources of RNG from hero abilities, and by using low tier non-true gold troops, you can predict the exact outcome of bear damage. The same is true for expedition battles, where you can see the actual battle report that includes skill counts. And in this case, Frack, Z-Brave, and I engineered a battle where the only randomness would come from Petra's first skill so that we could evaluate how it stacks. We had Z-Brave lead the rally with a 0-star Petra that only had the first ability unlocked. Frack and I each joined with Petras that only had level 1 for the first skill as well, since the other 2 get dropped. And we had a combined 2,000 of tier 1 non-true gold units of each troop type. We then attacked another account of Frack which simply had no heroes in tier 6 non-true gold units of each troop type. So there is no randomness in the battle other than just Petra's skill 1. Not even a cavalry ambush attack because that only comes in at tier 7. We did this a couple of times and you can see in the battle report that the skill count indeed inflated with 88 and 90 activations showing for the 2 identical versions of this test that we ran. Then we plugged those results into Frack's battle simulator to see what the distribution of the defender troop losses should be if the ability stacked versus if they did not. And you can see from the 2 histograms that our in-game observations perfectly match the battle outcome for non-stacking Petra abilities. So anyway, I know this is probably more math than what you bargained for, but it is a theory crafting video, and Let me just simplify and tell you what this all means. Petra's first skill is the best in the game due to the 3 chances at activating which increase its expected value. However, despite what battle reports might suggest, this effect doesn't really stack. So please do not send multiple Petras in your castle battle rally, you'll only waste a hero spot. And this is why when evaluating heroes, it's super important not to take one piece of a battle report in a vacuum without the proper testing behind it. Coincidentally, this is also why I'm always delayed whenever I'm doing my hero reviews. It just takes a lot of testing to do it right. And one other bonus fact about Petra's first skill here, just like the other damage taken up skill codes for other heroes, like Elcar or Vivian, it is not active on the first turn of battle for some reason. And you can test this yourself if you send Petra to fight a level 1 beast. With weak infantry only, it's a guaranteed 1-turn battle, and despite the 87.5% chance of activating, you will never see Petra's first skill activate. Alright folks, we've already spent over half the video just talking about Petra's first skill and dispelling all the rumors about it. Let's move on to some other hero abilities, and I'll go through them rapid fire. But first, a special thanks to my Sloth Squad channel members whose support helps make this sort of work possible. Check out the link below in the description to join, as well as learn how you can leverage your in-game spend to support my channel. So remember how we just talked at length about how percent chance-based abilities do not stack? Well, there's actually an exception to this that we found. And that comes from Rosa's first skill. Now, Frax Zebrave and I tested stacking Rosa for Bear Hunt a few weeks back, since we already knew from Frax testing that her skill was actually already different than described. Despite reading like another damage up skill code, it actually is coded in-game as a lethality skill code. You know, the same skill code used for Chenko's first ability, and we can validate this by seeing how it stacks with damage additively for Chenko's first skill and multiplicatively for other damage up skills. So using everything we knew about Bear Hunt damage calculations, such as the fact that the Bear Hunt lasts for exactly 10 rounds of combat, we set up a simple experiment. If we send Rosa as a Bear lead and additional Rosas as Bear joiners, what would the resulting damage be? And again, if we only use tier 6 non-true gold troops, the only randomness would be limited to the scope of her first ability we were testing, especially because even her second and third abilities don't have any randomness associated with them. So to keep this short, I'll jump to the results analysis. The damage we received from Rosa across all of our tests was only possible if Rosa's ability activated more than 10 times. And again, this is an important breakpoint given that Bear Hunt is exactly 10 rounds. Thus, this result is only possible if her ability stacks. Now, I think that even though her joiner ability stacks, I don't think we should add her to the list of preferred Bear Hunt joiners. Don't forget that her 40% chance of a 50% increase in damage is still an effective value of 20%, which is below the 25% benchmark. And since every Bear Hunt rally is likely to have at least one Chenko or Yanu in it, it would not be fully multiplicative to offset this. Still, it does make her a better choice than Hilda, for example, who only has a 15% damage increase. But honestly, by the time you get to Rosa, there are already plenty of other better heroes to send as Bear Hunt joiners, and you're probably going to be using her as the Bear Hunt leader anyway. Alright, let's talk a little bit about Zoe. Despite being a defensive widget hero, she is viewed as a great Bear Hunt leader hero, especially for free-to-play players who do not build Helga or Amadeus. Her superiority in Bear Hunt rally leading comes from the fact that she has 3 damage-enhancing abilities. But did you know that one of these abilities does not work on Bear Hunt at all? That's right. Her first skill, Sundering Wounds, does not improve Bear Hunt damage. And we've been able to empirically test this with predictable damage results using the same techniques you've seen earlier in this video. Now, we believe this may have to do with something in the Bear Hunt code wiping that Sunder status effect between rounds, but it's impossible to verify. That said, this is consistent with some multi-turn effects that still work, such as Jaeger's first skill, the Tempest, which impacts your own troops dealing damage rather than placing an effect on the bear. Although Ava's second skill does work on the bear despite it impacting enemy soldiers, but there is no mention of a status effect. And just to add even more confusion, I mentioned in my hero review of Sophia that her second skill does not work on the bear, while her third skill does, despite both being linked to that terror status effect. Weird, right? Whatever the case may be, we have confirmed this all empirically through a lot of testing. And at the end of the day, Zoe is still a great Bear Hunt rally leader for those without access to the pay-to-win heroes. She's just not as good as you might think and could be replaced by a true 3-turn offensive skill infantry hero someday. Or at least a new offensive widget one, but given we now gone 7 generations without seeing that, I wouldn't hold your breath on it. Anyway, there are many more crazy hero abilities in the game, and we continue to discover new ones. So make sure you check out my Hero Reviews playlist as well as our soon-to-be-released Heroes module on Optimizer to stay up to date with the latest discoveries. Also be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for my channel to be notified of more videos like this one. I can see the numbers, folks, and 4 out of 5 of you are still not subscribed. As always, thanks again for watching, and happy gaming out there.